We're transmitting our ship's logs, crew reports, and navigational records to you now.
Voyager, a theological journey, bonus editions.
Because I wanted to ask the question, do you think Jonas had to die?
Yes.
That's a good question. I would say no, he didn't. It's a convenient way of getting rid of him, because if he doesn't die, you've got to have a whole episode, presumably, that deals with him. And is he going to go in the brig with the other slimy character that they've got holed up in his room? What are they actually going to do with Jonas?
Yep.
Are they going to gift him to the Kazon?
Yep.
It creates a lot of plot problems.
And I mean, I think it's a regular trope in a lot of our TV is that on the one hand, what we want is vengeance, but we don't want to be seen as getting vengeance. We want to be seen to be, more about justice. And so by having the person somehow accidentally get killed in the struggle, we get to have our vengeance but not feel bad about it.
It's our cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
So Jonas was just too hard to redeem. And so our best option was to have him die.
Well, I mean, it's interesting when you put it like that, because as we discussed in the main episode, I don't think Jonas is an out-and-out evil character. So the idea that he is somehow beyond redemption as opposed to, Seska or something like that, I think is actually a really interesting one. I think you could make the case that he is certainly someone who could be redeemed, and if he saw that the Federation way was in fact the right way to keep them all both safe but also in good moral standing, I think he could be persuaded. I'm sorry we didn't get that chance.
I agree with you, Lindsay, and I just think it's just neater and easier as a plot function to get rid of him. Otherwise, you've got to redeem him, and that takes time and script writing, and it may not be always that interesting. So I just think it's a function of their dollars and what they want to do with their scripts, really. It's although he could have sacrificed himself, and, when he realised all was over, there was no hope that Voyager wasn't going to be taken over by Seska and the Kazon. He could have flung himself into the flames and said, well, there's no point. That might have been a little bit better than having it.
That's like the Matthew kind of redemption in death kind of, stepping back in.
Exactly.
So we've got two other characters now that are actually now in the same position. We mentioned Lon Suter being in the prison, who needs some redemption somehow, or death, or maybe redemption in death, and Seska. And then unfortunately she's got a baby too now. So she will have a baby. So I guess this is a question for Elizabeth. Can we redeem Suter? Can we redeem Seska?
That's a good question. I thought Suter at the end of his mind melding exercises, as long as he's being genuine and not putting something on, showed signs that possibly he could be redeemed. I would say normally psychopaths cannot be redeemed, but it's Star Trek. They can write it any way they want. So, there is that possibility. In terms of Seska, I'm not sure about that. And she's lying about this baby. Presumably she's telling the Maj that it's his, and she's telling everyone on Starfleet that it's Chakotay's. And she's trying to take by force Voyager so she can have a better nursery for her child, which is what it boils down to. I'm not sure this woman is redeemable as we know and understand her at this point in time.
And I mean, that's always the sort of the fine line that writers walk, isn't it? That the redemption arc also has to be believable. We have to see the steps and feel, yes, that person in their character could make those steps that would gradually take them to redemption. And if it becomes too unbelievable, we can't shake our heads. They'd never do that.
Yeah, I agree.
So with the three characters then in relation to redemption, Jonas was, yes, there could have been a redemptive arc written if we had have taken the time and put the effort in.
Yep.
Suda, maybe, depending on what happens. But Seska, absolutely no way. Is that our assessment of the three irredeemable figures?
I would say at this point in time, who knows? Sesta may have some great revelatory illumination and turn herself around, but we're not up to that in the plot yet if she does.
Well, and I think that, Will, you mentioned the little wrinkle, which is the baby. And
Yes.
I think, in fiction often, and, the fact that you're having a baby somehow casts the whole world in a slightly different light and becomes the pivot point for people to make big changes in their life. So who knows? Maybe, she could be redeemed by recognizing that she wants a better world for her baby and not just a better, safer creche.
Yeah, I'd go with that, Lindsay. That's why I said at this point in time, I'm not ruling out some epiphany that causes her to turn around. But at this point in time, no, she's not looking very redeemable.
So coming back to my question, we're left, or I think it was Will's question in the main podcast, is everyone redeemable? Or as I put it after watching Lucifer, is the devil redeemable?
Of course he is. Presumably he must remember about being an angel at some time and get homesick for heaven, so there might be something in there that could play on his heartstrings or whatever devils have as the equivalent of those.
And I do think it's fascinating that the actor Tom Ellis, who plays the devil, is actually the son of a Baptist minister.
So there you have it. When we step into eternity and come face to face with Q, we'll discover that standing next to him will be Adolf Hitler, Lucifer, and Seska, all waiting to greet us in their eternal salvation. This has been a Patreon bonus for the Never Odd or Even Media Patreon. Give us your thoughts in the comments below about redemption as you've had them. We'd be very keen to talk about them and highlight them in a future episode of Voyager, A Theological Journey.
We're transmitting our ship's logs, crew reports, and navigational records to you now.
Voyager, A Theological Journey, bonus editions.